And good morning, good morning. It is Friday, January 16th, 2026. Thank God it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. I'm really grateful and thankful that it's Friday. And let me tell you, we are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. Even when it's down, we're still trying to stream on X. We're streaming on YouTube. We're streaming at wyab.com. So if you can't pick us up on the 50,000-watt blowtorch that is WYAB, you can always listen to the stream, and we appreciate it. Please give me a follow on X. Andrew Gasser is my tagline there, AndrewGasser. The phone number today, if you want to be part of the program, is 601 879 0002. And the text line is open as well as 601 879 5060. The mission here is standard. We're here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? All of you who tune in every day know that you're the saints. But some of you are just tuning in for the first time. You're a saint. Pride goes before destruction, and the haughty spirit before the fall. And if that is not the truth of what's going on in Minneapolis, Minnesota right now, I don't know what is. You're seeing a lot of people bow up on social media on their little TikTok videos, and all of a sudden, real troops come in, trained specialists, law enforcement officers. They start coming in, and they buckle real quick. And people are finding out, fooling around, and finding out, and it's good. Well, most people, I'm sitting here getting ready for the show this morning, and one of the big things that happened is X went down. And I love using X because of all the video that is there. Some of it I don't even have to process and put through the quack machine. It can be completely uncensored, and it's really great. But what happens if the internet goes down? What happens if X goes down? What happens if your phone goes down? What generation is going to be more in trouble? Is it going to be the old folks on patrol? Are they going to be in trouble? Or is it going to be these younger kids who are in trouble? And as I was sitting here prepping for the show, because actually, when I found out that X wasn't going to be available, or so I thought, I was like, well, this isn't a big deal. We'll just go old school. And I got the whole show ready to go. And then wouldn't you know it, at about 10:03 this morning, as I'm just lining up the restream and getting everything ready to rock and roll, X comes back. And I'm able to go down the path that I wanted to. So we're going to mix and match that in the show today with some of the stories that I found interesting, along with the theme of the show, which is the thought police. And are you ready for the thought police? Because it's happening, ladies and gentlemen. The thought p- the thought police are here. And before we get into the thought police, I do want to say this is a Founding Fathers Friday, and that's going to be at the top of the second hour. I've got a whole spool of stuff right here, a whole stack of stuff on this guy, and he's really interesting because his plight is much like many of us are thinking that we may have to do here in the not too distant future. We may have to do that. We may have to give up a lot of stuff. Last week we talked about the guy who cannoned his own house. This week we're going to be talking about a guy who lost everything and got imprisoned. His wife got imprisoned. Just an overall really bad deal. But he put it all on the line for his country, and that's pretty awesome. So, when I say the thought police, there are a group of people out there, not on the right. They are on the left, but not all left-leaning people think like them. These are the Karens, the community Karens, the ones that just come up and get in your business. "What are you doing there? What's going on in your house? What's going on in your lawn? I need to know." Those type of people. Most people on the left and the right can't stand them, but they're out there, and they are out and about in Minneapolis. And we know they exist here in Mississippi, maybe not to the extent that you're about to hear, but they're definitely out there. And it's one of those things where the more I see it, the more I get more into reading, remembering, and actually wanting to read George Orwell's 1984 all over again. The more that I see things like this, the more I'm like, "Man, I don't want this in Mississippi." Yes, unknown texter, we will talk about the education bill, but not now. The more I see things like this, the more I wanna reach out to the listening audience and say, "Hey, this is what's happening I in another state, inside your country that you belong to." And, so the background of this is this guy has just rented a white SUV, and he is in the hot zone there in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and he gets confronted by a group of thought police.
Huh? Here you go. Yeah, like I said, I don't have to do this. I'm happy to do this. That's all. We just got to stop this.
So he's got a lot of camera equipment. I think we can say this isn't.
Yeah, I'm not. I tried to tell the first lady, nobody believes me. That's all I can do is tell you. I already shot. Listen, first of all, I don't have to do any of that, but I'm kind. I respect what you are doing. Yeah, no. I really appreciate what you guys are doing. I just don't understand the job and I don't know how to do it.
Were you here yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes, he was here yesterday. I
Thank
can
you.
testify that. I didn't recognize him.
No, I appreciate your help. Thank you.
I'm not here to help you.
No, I
I think the
understand.
fact that you're in a vehicle like this at this
I
time
get it. But with all due respect to everybody, I get a couple way drive.
Well,
you
you
know.
can. You go rent something else.
Well,
I mean, if you're part
are
of
you going to pay
media,
for it? That's not how it works.
this is my business.
I know. This is not how it works. So anyhow, I hope you guys understand. Not here to
He
cause
was
any
here
problem.
with a video camera yesterday. I did see another vehicle with them, but
Yeah, and he showed
I did see him
Did
with
you
a
show him
camera.
press badge when folks were talking on the side?
No. I told them I was with the media.
Okay.
And when people get irate with me, I have no choice to just go out the window.
I think you gotta understand that people were kidnapped.
And what wasn't yesterday, because that's what we did.
Is that not just insane? People not in uniform demanding him to open up his vehicle and show the equipment that is inside. Then you've got another lady saying, "Well, you could have rented a different vehicle. It looks like ice." What kind of bizarro world are we living in? And you sitting there, and I'll go ahead and retweet this on X right now. So if you want to see it later, you could more than welcome to do that. But that's what's happening in Minnesota. You have people who are not law enforcement officers mobbing up and then going in after a single dude in a white SUV. White dude. If he was a black dude, I wonder if the same thing would happen. And the lady says that it's in front of her business, but it's in a parking lot, a public parking lot at that. It's absolutely, absolutely insane. Brother Shane texted in saying, "So glad I'm retired law enforcement." It's gotta be really difficult for our thin blue line right now. And those are comments that are coming from, the mayor of Minneapolis, where he says that he only has 600 police officers, and you see the police chief's face just get really ashen and not happy that information was put out there. It's a thin blue line that gives us the civil society that we have and the democracy that the crazy left wants. Look, there's no rule of law. There's no law that says I have to show what's in the back of my truck to civilians. Yet this guy had to do it. Why? Because there was a gang there that said, "Open up that truck or you're gonna have a really bad day." And that is not the America I know. I'm not sure what would happen if that was down here, and we don't want violence. We do not want any of Minnesota's infection, whatever you wanna call it. And I am so grateful and thankful to all the other people who are saying, "We don't want this." We have immigration problems down here, we all know that, but it's not to the same extent that it is up there. I'm not sure why that is, but I'm grateful for it. And the groupthink isn't just to there in the physical realm that is Minneapolis, Minnesota, but it's also online. You're seeing more and more people get more bold with the stuff that they're putting on X, YouTube, and Rumble. TikTok is still pretty heavily censored by China, but that's because they've got our kids locked in and they don't wanna end up losing that invaluable programming tool. And we've got some stories on that too, especially with HB2 that just passed. I spent yesterday, not exaggerating, probably 2 hours. I was unable to actually upload the PDF into Grok, but if I cut and paste the entire 500 plus pages into Grok and just let it read it that way, I was able to ask all sorts of questions. I was listening to Brother Clay this morning, and again, thanks Clay for the shout out. Um, I specifically ran some of his questions through, and while Clay's not wrong, it's not exactly right either. And for all of us who are paying $10,000, $12,000 to send our kids to a private school because we don't want to send them into Hinds County, if you thought you were going to get your full $7,000, you would be wrong. You're going to get $2,000 for your first kid, $2,000 for your second kid, and $0 for your other kid. But I digress. With the thought police here and how videos like this are starting to be promulgated about the world because there is no borders with the digital ID and on the internet. It goes everywhere, even in Iran, where they're actively looking to take out X antennas or Starlink antennas. They can get X there. They can get their news from anywhere around in the world. And the group think it's starting to permeate over. We always already knew that it was in the mainstream media. We already knew that that was kind of bought and paid for. That's why we like the independent journalism. That's why we like seeing these people who are brave enough to go into some of these places. And we've got one of those videos too. Nick Shirley just doing incredible, incredible work. But when we get back, I've got another example of groupthink that will kind of tie this all together, and then we'll kind of move into the Nick Shirley new video that he got and let you take a listen to what it's like actually uncovering this fraud and makes you wonder what our government is doing and what's really going on. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYB. We're going to take our very first break. We will be right back. And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. I'm telling you about the groupthink and people who want to go ahead and have real journalism, and then people who are been just trusting whatever they see put in front of them on their TV screens every night, whether that be the cable news or the traditional media. It's absolutely staggering. So here we have CNN in the middle of a mob, and just listen to this, and then I'll break it down.
The scene spans several blocks. We are here at Portland Avenue and East 35th, but it goes at least 2 or 3 blocks.
Who are you? Who do you work
thank
for?
you.
Who do
Hold
you
on.
work
I'm
for?
sorry. We're with CNN. It's okay. Thank you for your help. I'm sorry. I think people are getting upset. So that is the latest here on the ground, guys, and I'm going to send it back to you.
Can you believe that? CNN out there doing a report, and you have SSRI girl number 17,427 masked up and asking, "Who are you?" Well, she's in a public square. It doesn't matter who she is. She's reporting on your lawlessness and egregious behavior that you're having out there, not acting like an adult, clearly don't have a job. I'm wondering how you're sustaining yourself. And this is all gonna come out how these millionaires and billionaires, whether they're from inside the United States or outside the United States, are paying for all this. All she's been programmed now to say is, "Oh, camera, professional camera, bad. Nick Shirley, bad." Here, let's go back and play this one more time.
Portland Avenue and East 35th, but it goes at least 2 or 3 blocks.
Who are you? Who do you work
thank
for?
you.
Hey, who are you? Who do you work for? Hey,
Hold on. I'm sorry. We're with CNN. It's okay. Thank
oh, we're with CNN. It's okay. And then what she say? Oh, okay. And she has her back to the camera, so you can never see her face. You do get kind of a side profile, and you can tell she's wearing one of those medical masks that really never did anything for anybody. It prevented you from spitting out, but you could still breathe in all the COVID that you want. It was more about stopping your spittle than it was doing anything else. But people don't realize that. And people are still wearing them today because they've been programmed and been up through fear, through COVID. And the CNN info babe, she after that, she gave up a little bit more, but then she was like, I'm done with this. I'm out of here. And again, this mob is the truest form of democracy you have because it's 50 plus one majority rule, whether it's a legal action or not. It's absolutely sickening. And again, that goes back to this groupthink, the thought police. This lady clearly thought that she was this CNN info babe was a threat. As soon as she heard CNN, she's like, "Oh, put that through my calculator. I'm okay. She's okay. What's good?" Now, let's look at some real reporting here. This is 3 minutes. The first video that Nick Shirley put out had over 125 million views. His new special is still under 10 million views. You know why? The American people have been programmed and conditioned for the next big crazy thing. Never mind that this is just as impactful and just as much of an expose of the corruption inside the child daycare and automotive transportation fraud that's been prevalent, not just in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but all around the United States, perpetuated by Ilhan Omar and her friends in the U.S. Congress and the U.S. Senate, and dare I say, signed by the president. I wonder what president signed it. I think we would all be shocked if we actually knew. But anyways, this has got Brother David in it too. I think that's his name, the guy who's been researching this for the past 10 years. And, for someone like me, it's not that I wouldn't go do this, but it takes a special kind of person. Not everybody listening to my voice right now, could do what Nick Shirley and this guy is doing. And Nick Shirley and this guy David are going to a company called Advanced Mobility Incorporated that has been getting money for taxpayers registered with the state for over 26 years. 26 years they've been on the take for this.
So now we're at 2833 13th Avenue South in Minneapolis, and there's supposed to be a non-emergency medical transportation company here called Advanced Mobility Incorporated. And what's interesting about this company is that state records show that it first registered with the state of Minnesota in 1999.
And they have been in business for over 26 years.
Yes, correct.
And
So
we're going to go inside.
they must have a lot of vehicles.
So this is Advanced Mobility 2833, boarded up. All these windows are covered right here. We're going to see if we can go inside. There's a bunch of shops in here. We have money transferring shop. We got clothes in here. There's a coffee shop. Let's see if Advanced Mobility is in here. We got spices. Is Advanced Mobility here?
You know 224? I don't think you guys are allowed to record it.
Do you know where Advanced Mobility is?
Sweet 2.
So the guy just said, I don't think you guys are allowed to record here. And they're looking for Suite 22 something. And everybody's immediately on edge. Now, they do have the right to record there. It's a public space. It's not private property. And with all these different stores in there, it's almost acting like it's a mall. And I guess if they had it posted, no recording, that would be okay. But nope. And this is how you expose things. People have to go out and take risks, just like our founding fathers took risks. Some paid with their lives, some paid with their fortunes, some lost their sacred honor. I would argue that they all kept their honor, but that's a whole nother debate.
She's recording over there, so. Suite 224. Do you guys know where Advanced Mobility is? Do you guys know where Advanced Mobility is? Yeah, we're looking for it. Never heard of it?
What is this? What is that?
Oh, my name is Nick Shirley. We're just looking for Advanced Mobility.
And now you can start hearing the mob because they know that the gig is up. Advanced Mobility in Suite 226 is not anywhere to be found.
Where's Advanced Mobility at?
We don't care about Advanced Mobility.
That's what we're asking for. All right, we're looking for Advanced Mobility. Nobody can help us right now. We got a whole group of people trying to get us out of here.
And now the mob, they're masking up. They're getting ready to push Nick out of this area where for 26 years, Advanced Mobility Incorporated has been getting Minnesota state funds. And we're not supposed to be upset about that.
Here. We're looking for Advanced Mobility. Advanced Mobility doesn't exist.
At least Nick censored it.
Get out.
Now they're pushing us out of here. Where's Advanced Mobility at?
We don't care about Advanced Mobility.
They don't care about Advanced Mobility. They care about that check that comes every month. They care about those federal taxpayer dollars that they're sending to wherever they send.
That's what we're asking for.
Get out. Get out.
Would you like to give a statement on where Advanced Mobility is?
Nope. Go ahead. Get out. We don't care.
So Advanced Mobility is not anywhere here. We're leaving, sir. Would you like to give a statement on what's happening here in Minnesota?
You make stuff up. This is a lie. I don't care. Who do you work for? Who do you work for? No, who do you work for? Nick Shirley. Who do you work
This
for?
is Nick Shirley,
I
sir.
don't care about Nick Shirley. That's you.
Yes,
But
sir.
who do you work for?
For Nick Shirley.
I don't care about Nick Shirley.
That's who he's working for today, Nick Shirley.
This is from the state of Minnesota. We don't care about that. Get out of here. Stop here.
And see, you guys say I can't film, but look at you guys filming. You can do that. You can film here. Advanced Mobility doesn't exist.
Well, so what was interesting was we walked in.
And I'm not going to go into the rest of the play-by-play, but again, the thought police. What is acceptable? What is not acceptable? And you might be mentally tough. You might have been strengthened up and you have strong opinions one way or the other. But there are so many people who are weak-minded skulls full of mush. There are people who will look at conflict and they just turn it off. They don't want anything to do with it. They just short out. They can't handle it. And we as Americans and as Mississippians, we have to be strong and confront this stuff. The wolf is at the door. And we've got a president who's willing to fight it, but we have a media, which our First Amendment says we need a free and independent media, which we do not have. It's bought and paid for by Pfizer. You hear it on the radio all the time. I mean, could you imagine if they outlawed SSRIs tomorrow? What would happen to these companies like Pfizer, Johnson and Johnson, insert other big pharmaceutical company here? They'd probably make a pill like Viagra, SSRI, and that's how they try to get around it. Anyways, when I get back, we're gonna talk about the new education bill coming up, and, I've got an awesome text string with a texter, and we're gonna go through it. It's gonna be great content. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. I wanted to get through the thought police stuff because I knew that this education thing was going to be a really big deal. I didn't realize me talking about the education thing just briefly in the middle of the thought police thing was going to be such a big deal. But hey, it is. And I want to go through some of the things that Clay said, and not that I disagree with them, but that page is 500 and some odd pages, and I put it into Grok, and I wanted to make sure that where I could find certain things, I could tangibly talk about it. So needless to say, when you cut and paste, um, 500 and some odd pages into Grok, it's gonna take a little bit to do. So as I scroll through this, please be a little bit patient. Um, Grok, please point out the language where people will get $7,000 per student. And it came back with, here's the primary language the bill provides for funding for equivalent to $7,000 per student. But that's not necessarily true. It's section 37-90-11, subparagraph 2. For a participating student described in the section, the amount disposed by the Magnolia student account for each academic year shall be equal to the student's base amount under the total formulation funding for the applicable academic year. And for the first year, that's $6,695.34 per student. But there's a little hiccup to that. And to be fair, if you have a special needs student, special education student, you get an additional $2,000 per year per student. So you're looking, can we just say 6,700 plus another 2,000? That's $8,700 per year per student. And so I'm sitting here thinking, this is great. This is given the opportunity for students to take the money that the state is paying to educate them and just have it follow the student. A Magnolia education account, that or MSA, a Magnolia student account. So I'm okay with that. Students who qualify for the special needs disability category, amount based $6,700 plus 2,000 is 8,700. Grok does the math for me. Thank you so much. So summary per student is roughly $6,700 for a kid who is not with a disability, and 8,700 for a kid who is with a disability. But then it gets kind of shady. It gets kind of shady, ladies and gentlemen, because that is going from public to public school. What if you've, as a family, whether you're married or not, you as the guardian of your child or the parents of your child, you come together and you say, you know what? I don't like where my school is. It doesn't have to be in Hinds County. It can be in County X147388 Alpha 2 for all I care. And you make the decision that you're going to pay $8,800 a year to send your child to a private school, much like my family does with our daughter. We want to make sure she's got the Christian upbringing that we want to instill. Well, that is a non-qualifying school to a non-qualifying school. So do I get the 6,800 or $6,700 a year? Nope. Because I have already been putting my child in a private school, I don't qualify for that 6,700. I only get $2,000 for my daughter. And not that Bernadette and I have another child, but if we did, I would only get $2,000 for that child. And if we had a third child, we would get no money for that. So if you are already having kid in a public school or a private school that you've been wanting to deal with and make that happen, you are not going to get the 6,700. You're only going to get the 2,000. Now let's talk about the racist in the room. And I like this guy. I'm just going to call him Jay because he won't tell me his name. And he sent me a video. And the first words out of his mouth today are, "You are racist." Brother, if you saw my family, you would take that back. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I really don't care about who's in the classroom, as long as the kids are all there to learn and not to cause trouble and be disrespectful and bring in a culture that is going to be disruptive to the classroom. I really don't care who goes to that school. Tupelo High School is integrated. So is Rankin County. So is Madison. Everybody's integrated. And you worry about Jackson's black students? Yes, I do. I believe that they're trapped in a system that really doesn't give a crap about what they learn as long as they're getting that dollar, as long as the administration's getting paid. Look, Jackson Public Schools, they don't pay teachers what they're worth. They don't. They can't even come solid on a uniform cell phone policy for each school is a little bit different. You'll be surprised. Go do your research. Go check out Zach's service video on Facebook about school choices. You'll be better informed. You know what? I will do that. But you wanna know what? I actually made the distinct effort to go through and read all the pertinent parts of the bill that were important to me, and I feel are important to the WYAB listening audience. I know I have a small stutter, that's alright. And this is the primary reason why Mississippi has the issues and problems that it does, blatant racism in education. You know what? Here's the thing, there are so many good people out there who aren't racist, who are just going out there living their normal lives, and they have someone who they've never met, never talked to, never even had the chance to have a real conversation with. You're just like that one of those ladies up in Minnesota who see, "Who are you with?" "Oh, you're racist." And you're completely dismissed. And you're more than welcome to call in 601-879-0002. We'll have that conversation. But I'm telling you, people who are out there on the streets who know me know that I'm not a racist, and I'm for every kid getting an education. It's why I talk about things on here that to give parents ideas on how to make sure that their kids start off strong in school, like Khan Academy, and going and doing the math, starting at 1 plus 1 and 2 plus 2. I'm telling you right now, I taught myself trigonometry literally starting well, I didn't start at 1 plus 1, 1 plus 2. I started off at advanced fractions because I had just forgotten how to do it all. But I took myself through trigonometry in 6 months doing Khan Academy. This is 2008. Those same lessons are still on Khan Academy today, and you can go and do that. That's why I sit there and talk about things like Hooked on Phonics. Because if you start your kid on Hooked on Phonics, I started my son Andrew on Hooked on Phonics at 2 years old. And he is one of the most voracious readers I've ever met. In 1st grade, in 2nd grade, in 3rd grade, all his teachers came up to me and said, "How is Andrew such a good reader?" And then his son or his brother, Austin, again, not quite as good as reader as Andrew. I'm sorry, Austin. I love you dearly. You know I do, but you're just not quite where Andrew is when it comes to reading. But you are still well above the average. And my other son, Noah, well, I just got called racist, but if you saw Noah, you'd realize that he ain't all white. And I see the phone ringing, but we already gotta go to commercial break. I don't get it why people try to call right as they go to commercial, but hey, that's just the way it is. They're not a racist bone in my body. Do I make decisions based yeah, you know what? I make a point not to drive through Jackson at night on the south side where I truly don't know anybody, and why am I gonna go creep through somebody's neighborhood? That's just stupid. It's not that I don't wanna go there, it's not that I don't wanna be part of population. If there was a festival or something, I'd roll up into it. My son Austin would roll up into it. If you know, you know. There are just some people out there who just wanna be angry to be angry, and again, that's part of the programming, that's part of what TikTok, Reels, and that's really what Reels and Shorts and Clips and whatever else they're gonna call them. those 30-second, just incisive videos that prove a point. And I use some of them here to illustrate the absurdity of it all. But I'm telling you, if you've got any questions about the education bill, this is what I recommend you do. Go to the Mississippi Secretary or Mississippi Speaker of the House website. He's got the bill as presented. There were 11 amendments on that bill. There were 11 amendments on that bill. 2 of them passed, which did not have anything consequential. 9 of them were, 1 of them was tabled and 8 of them were defeated. So that bill that you can go ahead and take the text and plug it into ChatGPT or Grok or whatever you use, and then just say, start asking it questions and see what it tells you, and then call into the show and let me know. I'd really like to know, but I'm telling you this bill is not necessarily all bad. It's not all good either. I'm not saying that, but that's how politics works, and it's just unfortunate that we have to get these enormous bills that are 500 and some odd pages long when you could probably do the same thing in 20 pages. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. And good people can disagree on this. We're not all racist if we disagree. We're all good Americans. We all want the best for our own kids. You are listening to Andrew Gosser Show. You are listening to WYAB 103.9, and we will be right back. Hey, what's going on?
Andrew,
Yes, sir.
did you not say earlier that you would not send your children to school in Hines County?
What I said is no, I wouldn't send my kid to school in Hines County because they can't
Okay,
get the
But- stop right there.
Okay.
The reason why, because it's black people in those schools in Hines County. That's the reason why you wouldn't send them there.
No, that's not. Let me tell you why
No,
it's
no,
not.
no,
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 it's
no,
not.
no,
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 no, no, no,
no,
no,
no.
because I
Yes,
can't
it
say Jesus in the classroom without having my kid dragged down to the principal's office and saying that we're not allowed to have religion in the classroom. That is
Sir.
why that they don't go to. We're off the air, but can we have this on the air?
I mean, no, because
Why?
people know my voice. Because people know my voice, and I want to stay incognito. So guess what? You don't know my voice. So guess what? The thing about it is this. You can say whatever you want to say. This is America, right?
Absolutely.
So I know that you're lying.
How
You
you
got the
don't
right
know
to
me.
lie.
You just said I don't know
No,
your
no, no,
voice.
no.
You don't know my
Based
voice.
on
How
historical
can you say
facts.
that you don't know me?
Based on historical facts.
No,
because I know
there's
people.
nothing
I've been
historical.
living a long time. I've been living a long time. I ain't never left the state of Mississippi.
Me too. Me too. I've been living a long time. I have left the state of
So
Mississippi.
I know the reason why you would not send your child. You said that because there are black people.
I
in
have
those school
never
districts.
said that. And you take
You
those
said you
words
would not
right
send
now
your
back in the
child to
name of
Hines County.
Jesus. In the name of
You said
Jesus, you take
this-
those words back right now. You cannot
Well,
say that
I
about
didn't-
me.
I said that
I
you
would
said
not
that-
care. I would not
you
send
said
my
you wouldn't
kids to
send your
Hines
kids
County
over
schools
there.
because I can't have a religious upbringing for my daughter. It's got absolutely nothing to do with race.
Right.
It's
That's
got to
what
do
you
with the
said, but the
demons
reason
and the
why
devils
is
in
you're not
Hines County
saying-
schools who do not allow Jesus in the classroom. They'll take Allah, they'll take Buddha, they'll take Hindu, but they won't take Jesus. And if they won't take Jesus, then you don't get my kid in your classroom. End of story. Full stop.
But also because it's black people.
No, that's got nothing to do with it. It's got nothing to do with it.
Yes,
You
it
should
do.
be ashamed of yourself. You say you've
I
been
didn't say
living
you
on this
said
earth
it.
for so long and
I
you are
didn't say
making
you said
statements
it.
like that. You ought
I
to be
never
ashamed
said
of
you
yourself.
said
You
it.
say you're a grown man. You're a
I
boy.
never said you
You're a
said it.
boy. You are a
I never said
child.
you said it, but I know the real reason why.
No, you
don't.
don't know the
One
real
of the
reason
reasons
because you
also
don't know
is because
me.
black
You
people-
come walk in my. I've offered to go off and you show me around the Delta. I've offered to come out and meet you, but you just come here on the radio
But
and
what
on the
about
text and
sending
saying
your
that.
students? What about your own children, your own flesh and blood? You don't want to send them over there. You didn't say it, but I know because they're black. If you have a wife, your wife don't want that child over there with them black kids.
No,
With those black
that's not
kids.
true. My wife, she works with black people all the time. In my school, there's
But
black
it's
kids
your child,
everywhere.
it's
It's got
somebody that
nothing to
is
do with
different.
that. No, it's not
It's a
different. You are so hypocritical, dude. I would love to talk
Well,
to you,
that's how it
but
was
I'm
in
coming.
the 60s,
You're going to
that's
be
how
on
it
the
was in
Hey,
the
we're going to be on the radio in about 15 seconds. So if you want to continue this, we'll continue it on there.
70s. I'm continuing to listen. Have a great day.
You too. And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9. If you were listening on the stream, you heard a hot one. I won't say I lost my temper, but my goodness gracious, lovable me. Man, when I get called, I mean, and ladies and gentlemen, you are just going to have to go back. Maybe I make it a clip because it didn't go out over the radio. It was during the commercial break. But my gosh, all I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen, is there are people out there who have been genuinely hurt by racism. They grew up with it. Bad things happen. It shaped their worldview. It shaped the way they are. But the way that they grew up is not what the way the world is now. And for someone to go up to somebody or call somebody on the radio and text somebody on the show and just arbitrarily call them a racist because they don't want their kids going to Hinds County School. I can't help it if the teachers don't allow Jesus in the classroom, even though it says in the Mississippi Constitution that we're supposed to have the Bible and it should be taught. That's a great reason to tune into the next hour because it's going to be Founding Father Friday. And we're going to talk about a guy who gave it all. Successful. I mean, think about this. How many of you are successful businessmen, businesswomen? You are making absolutely ridiculous amounts of money. And you decide that instead of continuing to make money and live your lifestyle that you're comfortable with, that is upper middle class at the lowest and ultra rich, wealthy, stupid Elon rich at the best of times, would you give that all up? Would you give that all up to go ahead and fight the revolution against the British? I know there's a lot of big talkers in this world. I get to listen to them all the time. But I'm telling you this, there are not many men and there are not many women who would do what our 56 brave founding fathers did when they signed that Declaration of Independence on on August 4th, 1776. They just wouldn't. You just wouldn't. And maybe I wouldn't. I'd like to think I would. But it's kind of like going through SEER class. You know you're going to get smacked and you let it think you're tough, but all of a sudden you get put in one of those situations and you're like, oh, Death Boy, Frosty, I'm sorry, man. I thought I was hard, but I wasn't. SEER school will do something to you. And if you've been to Fairchild Air Force Base, you know. And if you don't, you don't. And one piece of credit I do want to give to that man who called in. He did tell me to have a good day. We tried to end it up on a good note. And I respect you for that. I really do. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We're going to be right back in about 8 minutes. And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. It is Friday, January 16th, 2026. It is the second hour of the Andrew Gosser Show, and it means that it's a Founding Father Friday. And that's going to be awesome. We are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube, and we are streaming on WYAB.com. If you were listening to the stream, you got a bonus segment. It was lit. It was fire. I'll tell you what, it was pretty fired up. It was incredible. If you want to follow me on X, and I hope that you do, it's just Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. I'm not going to take any calls during the Founding Fathers Friday segment, but if you want to be part of the program after that, it's just 601-879-0002. And the text line is open, which has been flooded with stuff when we've read some of it. 601-879-5060. The mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We're here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. Pride goes before destruction, and the haughty spirit before the fall. And man, is that not true or what? So I've got my notes in front of me, but I think with me talking about education in the last couple segments, and then that conversation, if you got to hear about it, calling me a racist because I didn't want my kids to go to a Hines County school because they can't teach Jesus in the classroom. Apparently that's racist. But let's talk about this founding father. You know, I mean, he is one of the most popular men in American history. You know him, you love him, Francis Lewis. Oh, you guys all remember Francis. Who couldn't remember Francis? Francis Lewis was a man whose faith in God was rooted in his upbringing and his schooling, sustained him through extraordinary success, brutal captivity, revolutionary risk, and crushing personal tragedy. Man, when I was sitting there doing my research on this dude, I was like, man, this guy, not only did he have it growing up, but he had it as a young man and as a middle-aged man. He just had it going on. And even his upbringing, even though he had a lot of wealth and material things, he still had it tough in another way. Born March 21st, 1713 in Wales. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that name. He belonged to the Church of England, and his parents made sure that he went to school or went to church every week. But the sad thing is that he was orphaned at the age of 5. So he ended up being raised by his relatives who continued to give him that education. And even the thing that I'm finding out as I do more research on these founding fathers is that even in their quote unquote public school education, the faith was still drilled into them. And, you know, it wasn't like oh, we're just going to talk about it one day a week in one class, in a Bible class on a Wednesday night. No, they had it going on. He ended up going to school in Westminster School in London, where he also went to catechism and liturgy, shaped his early worldview. And he ended up becoming an apprentice at a mercantile exchange, and he arrived in America around 1734 to 1735. Now, as I'm doing this research for Francis Lewis and others, there's never an exact date except the day they were born and the day they died. They seem to have those pretty solid. But they can't really tell when he got to America, but he got around the age of 21 to 22 years old and quickly established himself as a highly successful merchant. Francis Lewis became a merchant and an importer-exporter in New York City and Philadelphia. His business dealings were wide-ranging from all around the Atlantic world, Europe, the West Indies, places like Africa and North American colonies. He was importing and exporting textiles, hardware, wine, and other rare commodities while exporting American produce such as furs and timber. By the 1750s, he was one of the wealthier merchants in New York, owning ships, warehouses, and other property, including fine estate in Whinstone, Queens. Someone said I couldn't validate this, but I saw it mentioned a couple times. He basically had 5,000 acres of a farm. You know that's 8 square miles? Bruh, what are you gonna do with 8 square miles? I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have myself a great flock of sheep. I'm gonna have myself some chickens and some turkeys, and I'm gonna have myself some livestock guardian dogs, and I'm gonna fish, and I'm gonna worship, and I'm gonna thank God for the blessings He's put in my life, and I'm gonna work for the kingdom. That's what I'm gonna do. His success was built on diligence, he was frugal and in integrity. And, that's why I'm wearing this shirt today. Honor, courage, commitment, those are the Navy core values. Integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do are the Air Force ones, just drilled into me in the big red bedroom. If you know, you know. He worshiped regularly at Trinity Church on Wall Street. Man, did you know that there was a church on Wall Street? I didn't. Leading the Anglican parish in the city. And it goes into it really heavy here about how he was using a lot of these biblical principles in his business dealings. Take your first fruits to the storehouse. He was doing that. But it's going to get better. His faith was severely tested in the French and Indian War, 1754 to 1756. He served as a captain of the New York Provincial Regiment. In 1756, he was captured by the French near Oswego, Lake Ontario, and spent about 16 months as a prisoner of war in France, much of it in harsh, dangerous conditions. Many men broke under such conditions, but Lewis endured, citing his faith in God and providence, and was finally exchanged and returned to New York in 1759. He resumed his merchant life without bitterness, and a testament to his faith. Man, could you imagine being a prisoner of war for 19 months and coming back and just picking up where you left off with no bitterness in your heart? Can you say that you would do that? I know I can't, man. This Francis Lewis guy, man, he is straight up balling, and we ain't even started yet. It's gonna get a lot worse for him. Lewis ended up marrying Elizabeth Annesley, 1730 to 1783, a fellow Anglican of Irish descent somewhere in the 1740s. And again, they're not telling me the exact date, and I don't think that really matters. It's just going to show you that, he got married around that time. They had at least 7 children. Some say 6 or 8. Records are incomplete due to the wartime destruction, which we're gonna get into. Francis Jr., Elizabeth, Anne, Mary, Margaret, Thomas, and possibly another son. Several died, as was common in the 18th century. I mean, could you imagine that? We have a child mortality rate under 1%, and we have 100 baby deaths, and we are freaking out. And it was not uncommon for a woman to have 8 or 9 kids, and thank God she just made it through the labor and delivery part, but 3 to 4 of those kids are gonna die. That's just the average about it. I mean, the heartbreak and the sadness and the woe. Oh my god, terrible. But at least 3 survived. Francis Jr., who became a merchant, Elizabeth, and Anne. The couple's marriage was described as affectionate and pious. They raised their children in faith, attending the Trinity Church on Wall Street, like we talked about, during the prosperous years. By the 1770s, Lewis was deeply involved in the revolutionary cause. You think after going to jail by the French, you think he wants to be free? He served on the New York Committee of 51 in 1774 and was a delegate to the First Continental Congress in 1774, and was elected to the Second Continental Congress in 1775 to 1779. On August 2nd, he signed the Declaration of Independence, one of 3 New York signatures, along with Philip Livingston and William Floyd, and they'll be in future Founding Father Fridays. And people just think, oh, it'll sign the Declaration of Independence. You were basically signing your death warrant. You're telling the king to go pound sand, to go fly a kite. We're rolling with this. The document's closing words, with a firm reliance on the protection of the divine, lived through the war and imprisonment. Well, I'm sorry, the divine providence reflected his belief in God and sovereignty over his own history, with a conviction Lewis had already lived through the war and imprisonment. And it just talks about how he was going to go ahead and end up being on the hit list for the king. The war brought devastation in 1778. While Lewis served in the Congress, British forces raided his estate and captured his wife Elizabeth and imprisoned her on board a British prison ship in New York Harbor. Could you imagine that? Waking up every day a free man, even though you're in war, and you see that prison ship out there in New York Harbor, and you know your wife is on it. Ugh, just brutal. Imprisoned on a filthy British prison ship in New York Harbor, subjected to cold, vermin, starvation, rations, disease, and other dubious things that unfortunately happen to prisoners of war, torture, and with women, something else. We all know what it is. She was exchanged in 1779, but her health was permanently ruined, and she died in 1783 at about age 53. Lewis also lost nearly all of his fortune due to war damage, loyalist confiscation, and the collapse of his trade network. You know, you think about that. You're a rich business owner, and especially in today's climate. You've got it going on one day. AI moves in, and your multi-million-dollar corporation is now worth pennies. And that's just how it is, and that's how it is today. But war back in the 1780s was, or 1770s, in the War of Independence was just brutal. Lewis lived another 2 decades in relative poverty in a small town farm in North Hampstead, Long Island, never fully recovering his wealth. He died at age 89 or 90. Accounts vary, but it's definitely late in 1802. One of the longest living signers, his grave in the yard of the Old Dutch Reformed Church in North Hampstead, Queens, is unmarked, a humble end to a man who never sought the spotlight. And there's this book that's out there. It's written by Reverend Charles August Goodrich, and it's called Signers of the Declaration of Independence, 1832 edition. And these are coming from pages 345 to 346. And I'm just going to read this verbatim. It's not me giving my personal opinion, but this is somebody who actually was alive during the time and was able to document all of our founding fathers. And this is what Reverend Charles Augustus Goodrich says of Francis Lewis. Francis Lewis was born in Wales in the town of, I'm not going to say it, in the year 1713. His father was an Episcopalian clergyman. His mother was a clergyman's daughter, and Francis was their only child. He was left an orphan with only about 5 years old, and was taken under the care of a protective maiden who watched over him with the apparent attitude of a mother. I can't even say that word. That's just crazy. At a suitable age, he was sent to school, where he made rapid progress in his studies, and at the length entered into Westminster School in London, where he received a classical education. On leaving school, he was at the age of 21, and he came to America and settled in New York, where he engaged in mercantile pursuits. This business was immensely successful and acquired a handsome fortune. I just love how they talk out back in the day. Handsome fortune. Some of the adjectives they use are just really, really good. During the French and Indian War, he served as a captain in the New York Regiment and was taken prisoner at the French by the French at Oswego, 1756. He was carried to France, where he suffered severely during his captivity, which lasted about 16 months. On his return to America, he resumed business and continued it with success until the commencement of the Revolutionary War. Mr. Lewis was early and decidedly in favor of the American cause. He was a member of the Committee of 51, appointed to New York in 1774, and was chosen as a delegate to the Continental Congress in 1775. He continued as a member of that body until 1779. In 1776, he affixed his signature to the Declaration of Independence. During that war, his estate at Whitestone in Long Island was plundered by the British, and his wife was taken prisoner and confined on board a prison ship, where she suffered greatly from cold and hunger. She was at last exchanged, but her health was so much impaired that she never recovered. She died in 1783. Mr. Lewis lost the greater part of his fortune at war, and his later days were spent in comparative poverty. He died on the 30th day of September, 1803, at the advanced age of 90 years old. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the life of founding father Francis Lewis. And you can see all of his trials and all of his tribulations. He was guided by God. And you look at some of the protests going on in Minnesota, or you see some of the problems that we have here. Are they really getting that good upbringing that so many of our founding fathers had? Or are we just doing replacement theory? Do what makes you feel good, what makes you happy. I'll tell you what, if we had a founding father situation, and we're rapidly coming to that, ladies and gentlemen, would you be a Francis Lewis, or would you just be something different? Would you be a Thomas Nelson Jr., or would you be something different? I like to think I'd meet those goals, but I'm not sure I would. And that is Founding Father Friday with Francis Lewis. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Hey, brother, you're going to have to call back. It's a bad connection.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It's the dulcet tones of the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. I know there were a couple people who were try calling in during the break, just kept on getting a staticky connection. Just keep trying to call back, and hopefully we get through. I did get some really great messages today. Nice job with your founding father today. If you haven't done them already, I hope you consider doing a session on Roger Sherman. Very interesting guy from Connecticut who is little known outside of his own state, especially in the South. Keep up the good work. Well, I'm going to definitely try. Let's see if this phone's going to work here. Here we go. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, Andrew. Eric Melton. How are you, buddy?
Brother Eric, I'm doing great, man.
I want to make 2 quick points, and I'd love to hear what you have to say about both of them. And today, especially the second part. But let me go to the first part, the school choice thing. Man, mark it down. You heard it here first. I'm predicting it. 3 years from now, let's revisit this and see how much corruption we have encountered in this school choice. This is a cash grab, 100%. We've seen it before. This is classic Mississippi government corruption at its finest. They have figured it out. That's the only reason this passed. I promise you it is. They have found a way to get this money into their own pocket.
It's going to be.
We've always had school choice. You got a choice to move somewhere else if you don't like where you're at.
Yep.
This is insane. This is a bill for a cash grab. You heard it here first. We're going to revisit it. Okay.
Brother Eric, I'm going to hold you to it. What's your second point, my friend? My
second point is the guy that calls in and calls you racist. I mean, if anyone that's heard that and that knows you in any kind of way knows that's laughable at best, but it's an insult. Okay? But here's something I want you to think about. In the late 1600s, we had an issue in this country, and it wasn't slavery. It was actually called witch hunting. All you had to do was call someone a witch, and they were pretty much found guilty immediately and burned at the stake. You know, a couple hundred years later, we realized that was absolutely ludicrous, that a lot of people got killed for no reason. And this racism, calling people racist stuff, has become this. You have taken all the power out of this. It is ridiculous. And now, I don't care. Call me whatever you want. It's silly. Just because I don't agree with you on something doesn't make me racist. Doesn't make me offended. Doesn't make me sexist. Doesn't make me any of these things. Just because someone doesn't agree with you, you throw that out there, you immediately lose this debate. Also, I have found when people start throwing that around, it's them who are the racist of the most. How are you racist for having an opinion on something that you believe is going to be more of a detriment to the children of Mississippi than it'll help them? If you're racist, you wouldn't care. You wouldn't even bring it up. Why would you care? It has nothing to do with your kids. This is it's an insult to hear people say stuff like that. And it's all it is. It's just like the late 1600s when this country was burning women at the stake because someone called them a witch. There's no merit behind it. Anyway, brother, I'll let you go. I'd love to hear what you have to think about that.
Yep. Thank you, brother. I appreciate the phone call. And let's talk about that for a minute, because I know I've stated it a little bit, but I'm not sure I've ever gone into it in depth on the air. And that is, a true racist. When it's almost like someone said, you don't like something somebody says, oh, you're racist. You don't like this. Man, we must have hit a nerve here. Please turn down your phone.
I cut my radio off.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Listen, do we have the same book? I have a book come out of my grandmother's house because I don't know if you can help me get a cover for it. I just got it in a plastic bag.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of getting rough. It's streaming through the pages. Writers of the Constitution of the United States. And it's, I think it's 1700 it was printed in there, all that other.
Mine is
got all the Constitution fathers and all their stories.
Mine is coming from Reverend Charles Augustus Goodrich's Lives of the Signers of the Declaration of Independence, 1832 edition, and pages I cited were from 345 to 346. But if you've got one of them back from the 1700s, brother, you've got a piece of Americana history. Hang on to
Well,
that with
look,
all your heart and
yeah,
all your might.
yeah, we need to get together and let you look at this. And
Oh, I would love to see that.
and I would love you to look for me a cover that keeps the sunlight out to help keep this book together. Do you know what I'm talking about?
You know what?
I can't find one.
There was
I can't find one.
I was going to
Go
say
ahead.
there was a sponsor on WYAB. They used to bind Bibles, and they bind old historical books. I know that they were sponsor of Jameson Show. If anybody can remember the name of that, text me at 601-879-5060. And brother, I want you to text me your name and number so that I can text you after the show. Brother, Pastor,
Okay.
real quick here, Pastor PD, I gave you a call back. I'll try calling you again. I know I was late calling you back, but I'll definitely give you a call. And brother, I would love to review that book, man. That is a piece of American history that, there's not too many copies of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Yeah,
that's worth some money.
I don't think it's worth. They told me it wasn't worth no money. Some of them people
Oh,
at the bookstore.
they're
They
so
don't mean that.
I guarantee you there are collectors of American history who are looking at that saying, "Oh my goodness." Um,
Well, the thing about it, we're gonna keep it in the family for my granddaughter.
that is just make sure she reads it now. How old's your granddaughter, my
Oh,
friend?
23,
Awesome, awesome. That's is she big?
and she's very patriotic. To the vet, I've been in a lot of veteran organizations coming up with her, and she always attended, and she's very patriotic.
Hey, brother, we have the best listeners here at wyab.com, and shout out to Norse Bookbinding. Brother, I want you to go look up Norse Bookbinding and give them a call and explain what you're doing and trying to have done and see if they can't help you.
Okay, you'll text that to me too.
Yep,
Okay,
just
I have
text me and then
everything.
I'll text because I don't got your number. So if you text me, I will definitely text this back to you. And Miss Carol, you
Okay.
are a true listener and patriot out there. I appreciate you texting. Brother, I hope you have a wonderful and blessed weekend. You got any great plans for the weekend?
I work. I got a business. I work.
I hear you. Blue collar crew. We're appreciative that you're out there, my friend.
Yes, sir. You have a good day.
You have a blessed one as well. I'm telling you what, I come into work Monday through Friday, uh, and I work a lot outside the studio, but when I come in here, I am so excited to talk to all of you all. I really am. And I often think about the people who sat in this seat during this time slot before me and how Jameson did such an amazing job for all those years. And now I'm sitting here and I'm literally looking at the microphone, pinching myself, saying, my goodness gracious, what a responsibility that's been given to me to talk about faith, religion, politics, education, and war, and just relay these experiences onto y'all. I am so grateful and thankful for y'all. We're going to take a commercial break. We will be right back.
A customer states that it rolls in park, which, I mean, you spin this wheel, that wheel does nothing.
Yeah, we need a little bit more cowbell. We don't fear the reaper. We're rolling with the Holy Ghost here on the Andrew Gospel Show on 103.9 WYAB. And they were a former sponsor here at WYAB. So I reached out to Miss Carol to see if she wants to call in and talk about it. She did have a Bible. She's going to call in a minute, so I'm going to go to a different story. But I want to definitely talk about that because we're losing so much of our American history because the bindings are broken, the books are out of disrepair. You know, paper decays over time. And the more we can do to save these relics from our history, the more important they're going to be. You look at all of our history books, they're changing more and more every day. And we have to go out and we have to reclaim this. And if we don't, they're just slowly going to change words over time to make it our history look more and more watered down to where all of a sudden these young kids skulls full of mush at getting out of high school are going to think that our founding fathers were all deists or atheists when there's actually only two deists. I can't find one that was an atheist. Maybe I'll find one. We won't finish this Founding Father Friday series till the end of January of 2027 if we do one a week. And, if I take a vacation or something like that, that's gonna kind of crimp into that. So we'll see what happens. I got some exciting news. On Monday, we were gonna have a guest host. I will be in the studio, but I won't be doing anything. I am just gonna be the official program observer. And after this phone call, I'm gonna tell you who it is. Hello, you're on the air.
Andrew, it's Carol. I
Hey.
just wanted to call in and let you know that I had a Bible that I had bought and used since the 1970s that was falling apart, and I sent it up there to Greenwood to North Bookbinding, and they kept it, I don't know, a couple of weeks, maybe something like that, not real long, and did a fantastic job. I was so pleased when I got it back. It's like my best friend, I don't.
Yep.
I'm just glad they took real good care of it.
That's really good to know. And they definitely do Bibles, but hopefully they do other books too. And
Mhm.
when we get a caller like you that's recommended a former sponsor at WYB, I don't have a problem talking about the service that they did or giving them props. And it's Norris's bookbinding, right?
Right, right. It's in Greenwood, and you can either send it in the mail. I had a friend actually who was going to Greenwood, and she just took it with her and then brought it back to me.
Yep.
How about that?
And if you want their phone number, I'm going to even plug that. It's just 662-453-7424. 662-453-7424. I hope that guy gets that piece of living history documented or reminded. And I'm so grateful that I have listeners like you, Miss Carol, who are out there helping us out as we're trucking along through the day.
Sure. Glad you're on the air. I miss Jameson, but I'm glad you're in his spot.
Oh, ma'am, thank you so much. I'll never be able to fill Jameson's boots, but I'm going to give it the good college try,
You do a great job. Y'all
Ma'am,
both do.
ma'am, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was Miss Carol, ladies and gentlemen. And I still have a bunch of stories to get to, so this is gonna be rapid fire here. And this is coming from Ground News. U.S. senators worried that U.S. Postal Service changes could defranchise voters who cast mail-in ballot or cast ballots by mail. Well, let's see. Every country that had mail-in voting has since gotten rid of it. Why? Because of fraud. So if we've got to get rid of mail-in voting, I'm all for it. We need to get rid of it. We never had it before COVID. We need to just get rid of it immediately. We have absentee voting, but I even think that we should do absentee voting in person. You know, the only people who need to vote by mail are U.S. citizens who are permanently stationed overseas or are on deployment in the military. That's about it. If you know you're gonna be out of country for X amount of time, then, you know, you should be able to figure something out and get your ballot cast. This vote by mail is nothing but a scam to go ahead and not even let the Democrats, because there's a lot of good Democrats who have very conservative leanings, and they consider themselves Democrats, but they vote sometimes Republican, sometimes Democrat. I'm not talking about them. These are the socialist, communist crazies who are trying to take America down, who wanna keep this open. And let's make no mistake about it. You know, we saw the uniparty in full swing yesterday in the U.S. Congress when 81 senators voted with the Democrats to get rid of funding of the National Endowment for Democracy, which is nothing more than an NGO front group to take money around. Here, let's take this phone call again. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air. Or not. We're just gonna keep on going here on the Andrew Gosser Show. But, yep, so this is coming from Ground News. Senators from Oregon and 10 other states worry about U.S. Postal Service defranchising voters who cast ballots by mail. And it's the usual suspects. California, Biden. Nevada, that was Trump. Oregon, Biden. Washington, Biden. Minnesota, Biden. Wisconsin, Trump. Illinois, Biden. Maine, I think, was Biden. I can't remember. Connecticut was Biden. New Jersey was clearly Biden, although it is getting tighter in New Jersey. And Maryland, Biden. So everybody can see that even in states that went for Trump, that are normally blue states, there's these senators who are worried about it, and we have to get beyond that. This is from the Associated Press, Associated Propaganda. Don't want to do that, but I do want to get into this because we did talk about one of the other factors that is really coming into this radio show is good parenting practices, especially for the youths. Oh, hold on. Let's see if this will work this time. Caller, I truly don't get it. I'm hitting the online, and you're just not coming through. Yep. So I'm not going to take any more phone calls today. I think I just need to reset the phone machine, and I'm not going to do that while I'm on the air. That's just playing with fire. Caller, are you there?
Yes, sir. You're going to get you a Bo Snerdley.
I need a Mr. Snerdley. You are so right. Hubba hubba. Go ahead with your thing, and then I'm going to tell my Bo Snerdley story. Go ahead.
Two quick questions. One, concerning the education bill, that $2,000 annually, is that cumulative year to year? In other words, if they don't use it the first year, can they use a total of 4 the next year?
I will ask Grok, and then I will, when Grok cites me the section and code of the bill, I will cite that. But I'll have to do that next week, brother. I have found that with my Parkinson's, it's really hard for me to type. So me typing on air that's like playing with fire. I'm just happy I can click the mouse button, you know?
Got you. Question number 2. What do you think the likelihood of it passing the Senate is?
Oh, I think it's 100%, but it's going to be heavily modified because there's a Senate bill and then a House bill. So it's going to go to a meeting where they take the two bills and try to mesh them together. They'll have leadership from the House and leadership from the Senate go through. It's called conference. That's what it is. And they're going to go to a conference. And so they're going to take things out of the House bill and put things in from the Senate bill. And they'll take things out of the Senate bill and take things from the House bill. So we're going to get some type of mishmash of the two bills.
mishmash. That doesn't sound like as Rush Limbaugh used to say, a dish best served cold.
Yeah, that is I mean, that's just how the sausage is made. I know people don't, necessarily understand that because our schools don't teach how it works, but, um, they go to a conference where they each have bills, and then once it gets out of conference, it will go back to both chambers, and they'll vote on that bill again, and then that's what goes to the governor or to the president for final signature or veto.
Well, we already know it's not going to be vetoed. I don't know what the final product will look like, but it's the lady I think it comes on behind you. She's like screaming bloody murder, school choice, regardless. It doesn't make any difference. Just do something.
Well, I'll tell you what, as far as if you have a special needs child, you want this to happen because it is gonna do so much good for kids with special needs. But
Well, I could tell you right now, most of your academies are going to have a special needs program, but I'm telling you, public school they don't have the people or the programs. They throw you into a sped class, and they've got people on staff, but there's not enough of them, and most of them don't do much at all. So it's going to be an academy. I know people who had kids who were dyslexic, and the only real help they got was when they put them in an academy or a parochial school.
Yep, and, they're gonna be able to do that, and that legislation also says that if the school has a program and there's space in the program, the school doesn't get a choice to veto that. The school does now have a veto power, like Rankin County Schools and Madison County Schools. They can veto any student coming from Jackson they want to. This is where you're finding out who your school board representative is gonna be so critical. And you're gonna want somebody, quite frankly, who's a ball buster there, who is gonna understand how to say the word "no" to the superintendent, "no" to the principal, "no" to the administration, and just run it like it's supposed to be run, because if you get some liberal, weak-minded person in your school board who's just there to eat the chocolates on school board meeting day and to smile and shake hands and kiss babies, you are gonna be in for a rough ride.
Well, if decisions being made upon cell phone policy is any indication, nobody knows how to say no.
Yep, we're in trouble because, we gotta make sure that girl's hair is looking good on a Saturday or on a Friday afternoon.
That's right. That's right. Got to make sure those curls held up throughout the entire day. All right, brother. Have a good weekend.
You have a blessed weekend too. Take care, my brother. You know, eh, callers are just been awesome. Even the caller in the first hour during the break, that's gonna have to become a online segment. If you've never subscribed to Andrew Gosser on Rumble, X, or YouTube, you're gonna want to because this segment is absolute fire. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we get back, I'm gonna talk about my Bo Snerdley story and also what I'm doing with the beautiful Sweet Bee. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Oh, yeah. We are back on the Andrew Gosser Show. The last caller brought up Bo. I think it was Brother Richard who brought up Bo Snerdley. And I've got a great Bo Snerdley. I'm not bragging. I got to be on the Rush Limbaugh Show 7 times in my life. Not just like I've called in probably thousands of times, but actually on the air 7 times. And this one time I called in, and it was calling in because they were trying to push Jeb Bush down our throat in 2016. And Bo Snerdley comes on, and if you've ever talked to Bo Snerdley, he got a real deep voice. It's about like this. It's really big. And for those of you who don't know, Bo is black, and he's just one of the greatest dudes you ever talk to. But there's a reason they call him Snerdley. Hello, Rush Limbaugh Show. Bo, I want to talk to Rush about there's no way in hell that we can have Jeb Bush as our president nominee in the Republican Party. And he goes, why is that? And I go, well, I'm a Republican vice chairman of the county party. I'm a county board member and I'm a precinct committeeman. And I think there's just no way in hell we can do this. You sure you want to say that live on the air? Yes, Bo. Well, I'll put you to the head of the line. And 5 minutes later I was on. And that's on my YouTube page. I'll try to post that because it was honestly, I was feeling it back then. And sadly, during that time, God gave me incredible favor, but I wasn't running with the Lord like I should have been. And I was able to accomplish incredible things, but I sometimes look back on it now with regret because if I would have watched my tongue a little more, if I would have been a little bit more of a gentler, kinder Andy, I could have gotten a lot more done, not only for my constituents in McHenry County, Illinois, but for building the kingdom here on earth. But that's why God gave me this platform to try to share my mistakes and the things I did as an elected official and as a party official. And hopefully you guys decide to do that same thing, but you don't make the same mistakes that I made. And with that, it is Friday. So I've got to brag on my beautiful Sweet Pea. And we have such an awesome weekend planned. It's really going to be special. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable and her lamp does not go out at night. Sweet Pea is always up before the crack of dawn, going to bed late at night, and I envy her because she falls asleep so quickly, and I don't fall asleep worth a lick. But she's always moving and grooving. And this weekend, as I honor my Sweet Pea like I always try to do, sometimes I don't do a good job, sometimes I do a fantastic job. But tomorrow we are going for a couples massage, an hour of rest and relaxation, followed by dinner with our friends, Mike and Diana, Shane and Carlin. We're going out. Great Mexican food place. Hopefully they become a sponsor so I can brag about them. But that's what I'm planning to do for the weekend. Guys, what are you planning to do with your wives on the weekend? Go love on her. See what happens. It's amazing. Life is good, everybody. Take care. Be blessed. We'll see you in about 46 hours, everybody. Till then, adios, amigos.